The knife slipped from my hand, clattering against the cutting board as Ben's laughter echoed from the living room, sharp and effortless, slicing through the quiet hum of our shared apartment kitchen. 10 years of stolen glances, of nights pretending his arm around my shoulder was just brotherly, and now here I was, 28, and unraveling because he'd brought home Jake, some guy from work with a jawline that could cut glass and eyes that lingered too long. But it wasn't Jake's fault. It was mine, for finally deciding tonight that I couldn't watch Ben fall for someone else without shattering. I gripped the edge of the counter, the cool granite grounding me as the scent of sizzling garlic and onions filled the air. We'd been roommates for 5 years now, ever since college graduation spit us out into the real world of Seattle's relentless rain and overpriced coffees. Ben Hargrove, with his easy grin and that perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, had always been the sun in my orbit, the straight-A jock who'd picked me, the awkward theater kid, as his best friend in freshman orientation. I'd fallen for him that first week, over lukewarm pizza and bad beer, when he confessed he hated feeling alone in a city full of strangers. "You're my people, Alex," he'd said, clapping my back like it sealed a pact. And I'd nodded, swallowing the truth that burned in my chest. I wanted to be more. Now, as their voices drifted closer, Ben's deep timbre weaving jokes with Jake's polished laugh, I forced myself to chop the vegetables again, each slice a reminder to stay buried. Deep, even breaths. This was routine. Ben dated around. Always guys or girls who fit the mold of effortless charm, and I played the supportive sidekick, the one who cleaned up the emotional wreckage with late-night talks and hangovers cured by my famous breakfast scrambles. But Jake felt different. Ben had mentioned him 3 times this week, casual drops that landed like grenades. "Jake's got this killer playlist," or "You'd like him, Alex. He's into indie films like you." My stomach twisted. Was this the one? The guy who'd make Ben forget our inside jokes, our road trips up the coast where we'd blast Springsteen and scream lyrics until our throats ached? The door swung open, and there they were, framed like a scene from some rom-com I refused to watch. Ben, 6 feet of broad-shouldered warmth in a faded mariner's hoodie, his hazel eyes lighting up as he caught sight of me. "Alex, dude, you won't believe the traffic. Jake here saved my ass with some shortcut app." Jake stepped forward, extending a hand that was firm but not overbearing, his smile genuine in a way that made me hate him less. "Hey man, Ben's told me all about you. The breakfast wizard, right?" I shook his hand, managing a grin that felt like it might crack. "Guilty. Hope you're hungry. Stir fries almost ready." Ben slung an arm around Jake's shoulders, casual as ever, and propelled them toward the couch, already launching into a story about their disastrous attempt at karaoke earlier. I turned back to the stove, stirring the pan with more force than necessary, the sizzle masking the roar in my ears. This was fine. Totally fine. I'd survived worse. Ben's engagement scare in college with that sorority girl, or the time he ghosted a guy after a weekend in Portland and cried on my shoulder for days. I'd held him then, whispering that he deserved better, meaning myself in every unspoken word. Dinner passed in a blur of small talk and forced levity. Jake was nice, damn it, smart, with a job in tech that didn't make him sound like a soulless drone, and he laughed at Ben's puns without pity. Ben, for his part, was magnetic, leaning into Jake's space with that flirtatious tilt of his head, his knee brushing mine under the table once, twice, an accident that sent sparks up my spine. I excused myself early, claiming a headache from the rain pressure, and retreated to my room, the door clicking shut like a full stop. Curled on my bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars we'd stuck up as a joke years ago, I let the tears come. 10 years. How much longer could I carry this? The next morning, sunlight filtered through the blinds, mocking my red-rimmed eyes. Ben was in the kitchen, humming off-key to some podcast, flipping pancakes like nothing had happened. Jake had left at dawn, a quick kiss on Ben's cheek that I pretended not to see from the hallway. "Morning, sleepyhead," Ben called, sliding a plate my way. "You bailed early last night." "Everything cool." "Yeah, just tired." I poked at the stack, syrup pooling like guilt. He watched me, fork paused midway to his mouth, that furrow between his brows deepening, the one that meant he was piecing me together. Ben had always been perceptive, in that quiet way that snuck up on you. It was why I'd learned to deflect, to layer on sarcasm like armor. He set his fork down. Alex, come on. You've been weird for weeks. Distant. Like you're, I don't know, pulling away. His voice softened, laced with that earnest concern that always undid me. Did I do something? With Jake? The question hung there, innocent and devastating. I forced a laugh, too loud in the small space. Nah, man. Just life, you know? Work's kicking my ass, and this city's got me in a funk. Lies, all of it, but they tumbled out smooth as ever. He nodded slowly, but his eyes searched mine, lingering a beat too long. Okay, but if it's more, you know you can tell me, right? We're us. Us. The word lodged in my throat. I nodded, shoving a bite of pancake into buy time. The rest of the day dragged, me at my graphic design gig, tweaking logos for boutique coffee shops while Ben texted updates from his shift at the ad agency, memes about bad clients that once would have had me snort laughing in reply. Now, I stared at my phone, thumbs hovering, the ellipsis mocking my hesitation. That evening, we hit our usual bar, the Rusty Anchor, a dive with sticky floors and the best craft IPAs in Capitol Hill. It was our ritual, post-work decompression, darts, and dissecting the day's absurdities. But tonight, the booth felt smaller, the air thicker. Ben ordered our standards, mine a hazy IPA, his a stout, and clinked his glass to mine with a grin. To surviving another Monday. And to you not ghosting me. I rolled my eyes, but the jab landed. Ghosting? Please. I'd never. We fell into rhythm, trading stories. His about a client who wanted a millennial-friendly campaign featuring fax machines. Mine about the intern who photoshopped a cat into every mock-up. Laughter came easier here, buoyed by hops and the dim glow of neon signs. But midway through my second beer, Ben's expression shifted, his fingers tracing the condensation on his glass. Alex, he started, voice low enough that the jukebox's twang drowned it for the couple next to us. Remember sophomore year? That party at the frat house where everything went to hell. How could I forget? The night he'd gotten blackout drunk, woken up tangled with some girl he barely knew, and spent weeks spiraling about what it meant for his straight guy identity. I'd been there every step, assuring him it was just college chaos, that labels were bullshit. Deep down, I'd hoped it'd crack him open, make him see me. It hadn't. Yeah, I said cautious. The walk of shame extravaganza. He chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. You saved me that night. Pulled me out before I did something stupider. And every time since. You're always there. He paused, swallowing. But lately, it feels like you're slipping. Like you're looking through me instead of at me. What? My heart hammered, the bar's chatter fading to a buzz. Why? Because every look was a confession I couldn't afford. Because Jake's cologne still clung to your hoodie. Because 10 years of this ache was carving me hollow. But I couldn't say it. Not here, not now. Just, growing up, Ben. We're not kids anymore. His jaw tightened, hurt flickering before he masked it with a shrug. Bullshit. We're still us. Or at least, I thought we were. He drained his beer, signaling for another round, and the moment slipped away like so many before. But as we walked home through the drizzle-slick streets, his shoulder brushing mine, I felt the fracture widen. How long until it all came crashing down? The weeks blurred into a tense standoff, Ben and I orbiting each other like wary planets, close enough to feel the pull, far enough to avoid collision. Work became my refuge, hours lost in client revisions and freelance gigs that paid just enough to keep the apartment afloat. Ben threw himself into dates with Jake, their Instagram stories a parade of brunches and hikes that I scrolled past with numb efficiency. He's good for me, Ben said one night over takeout, his tone defensive, like he sensed my silence screaming. I nodded, murmuring agreement, but inside, jealousy coiled like smoke. Our mutual friend Lila caught on first. She was the glue in our trio, a fiery lesbian with a pixie cut and a laugh that could disarm a room, who'd met us in a queer ally group back in college. Over coffee at her favorite spot in Fremont, a hole in the wall with mismatched mugs and walls papered in zines. She fixed me with that no-nonsense stare. Spill, Alex. You've got that kicked puppy vibe, and Ben's been texting me about how you're phasing him out. What the hell? I stirred my latte, foam swirling like my thoughts. Lila knew my secret. I'd confessed it to her during a tipsy girls' night 2 years back, her hugging me fierce and promising to keep it locked. It's nothing. Just seeing him with Jake. It's hitting different this time. She leaned in, voice dropping. Different how? Like, end it all different, or punch him in the dick different. Her bluntness coaxed a reluctant smile from me. The first one. Mostly, I sighed, the confession spilling out in fragments. The hook of his smile, the way his hand on my knee during movie nights felt like fire. Lila listened, nodding, her expression softening from skepticism to sorrow. Honey, you've carried this solo for a decade. That's not love, that's martyrdom. She squeezed my hand. Tell him, or at least, start looking elsewhere. There's a poetry slam next weekend. Come with me. Hot artists, free wine, distraction therapy. I agreed, more to appease her than anything, but the idea gnawed at me. Looking elsewhere meant admitting defeat, that Ben and I were just friends in the story I'd scripted for us. That night, alone in the apartment while Ben was out, I pulled out an old photo album from under my bed, snapshots of us at 16, awkward and beaming at a high school prom I'd crashed as his platonic date. We'd danced that night, his hands light on my waist, whispering dumb jokes to cover the sway. You're the only one who gets me, he'd said then, and I believed it could mean everything. The poetry slam was a revelation. Tucked in a basement theater in Belltown, the air hummed with spoken-word fire, verses on identity, loss, the ache of unspoken truths. I sat beside Lila, nursing a plastic cup of Merlot, when the MC called up a newcomer, Theo, with ink-sleeved arms and a voice like velvet over gravel. His piece was a gut punch about loving in the margins, eyes locking on the crowd like he was daring us to feel it. When he finished, applause thundered, and Lila nudged me. Go say hi. That was for you. I did, heart thudding as I approached during intermission. Theo's smile was crooked, genuine, his dark curls falling over one eye. Glad it landed. You look like you've got stories of your own. We talked, easy, unforced, about his day job as a barista, my design sketches, the way Seattle's fog mirrored inner storms. By night's end, he slipped me his number on a napkin, scrawled with a doodle of a breaking wave. Text me. We could use more wave breakers. I didn't text right away. Guilt kept me tethered, Ben's face haunting every what-if. But 2 days later, over a solo lunch at Pike Place, I caved. Theo replied instantly, suggesting a walk along the waterfront. It was innocent, chatting about favorite books, the salt-tang breeze whipping our jackets. But his hand brushed mine once, lingering, and I didn't pull away. For the first time in years, possibility flickered, fragile as sea glass. Ben noticed the shift immediately. Who's got you smiling at your phone like an idiot? He teased one evening, collapsing onto the couch after a run, sweat-damp tea clinging to his chest. I hesitated, then showed him the thread, light banter about bad tattoos and dream travel spots. Theo. Met him at that slam Lila dragged me to. Ben's grin was wide, but his eyes sharpened, scanning the messages like code. Cool. He seems chill. A pause, then, casual as flipping channels. You gonna see him again? Maybe. The word hung, testing. Ben nodded, grabbing the remote, but his grip tightened on the clicker. That night, sleep evaded me. The ceiling fans were mocking my restlessness. Was that jealousy in his voice? Or just the echo of my own hopes? The first date with Theo was magic wrapped in nerves. We met at a tapas spot in Queen and, candlelight dancing on terracotta walls, plates of patatas bravas steaming between us. He was funnier in person, his laugh pulling mine out like a tide. Stories flowed, his coming-out war story with conservative parents in Spokane, my theater days dodging stage kisses with leading ladies. Sounds exhausting, he said, eyes soft. Hiding that long. It's a habit. I shrugged, but his gaze held, understanding blooming. As we strolled back, his fingers intertwined with mine, warm and sure. At my door, the kiss was tentative, sweet, lips brushing like a question. I answered yes, pulling him closer, the world narrowing to his breath mingling with mine. Ben was waiting when I slipped in, feet up on the coffee table, a half-eaten pizza box his companion. Good night. His tone was light, but the room felt charged, like before a storm. Yeah, great, actually. I busied myself with water, avoiding his stare. He stood, crossing to the fridge, his proximity electric. Happy for you, man. But as he passed, his hand grazed my arm. Deliberate, fingers curling just a second too long. Just, don't disappear on me, okay? The plea twisted something deep. Never, I whispered, but the lie tasted bitter. Lies had built our world. Truths would burn it down. Theo became a steady current, pulling me from the undertow of Ben. Our second date was a hike in Discovery Park, trails winding through madrona trees heavy with moss, the sound glittering below like shattered sapphire. He packed a picnic, vegan sandwiches and thermoses of chai, and we talked for hours, sprawled on a driftwood log, about dreams deferred. I want to publish that chapbook, he admitted, sketching waves in the sand with a stick. But fear's a hell of a editor. I shared sketches from my portfolio, vulnerability trading hands like currency. His kiss at the trailhead was bolder, hands framing my face, and I leaned into it, chasing the spark that didn't ache with regret. Back home, the apartment felt like a museum of memories. Ben's sneakers by the door, his cologne faint on the throw pillows. He was out with Jake again, their rhythm unbroken, but notes piled up, post-its on the fridge reminding me of rent due, or grab milk, scribbled with his looping bee, small anchors, keeping me moored. Lila grilled me over brunch the next Sunday, her Bloody Mary as red as her curiosity. Theo's got you glowing. But Ben, spill. I saw his face at the bar last week. Like you'd kicked his dog. I laughed it off, but her words burrowed. Ben had been off. Snappier texts, longer silences during our runs along Green Lake. One evening, as I prepped for a third date, nervous energy buzzing while ironing a shirt he lent me years ago, he burst through the door early, cheeks flushed from more than the chill. Alex, emergency powwow. Jake just dumped a bomb. We sank onto the couch, beers cracked like lifelines. He says he's not ready for serious. After 2 months of me being all in. Ben's voice cracked, vulnerability cracking his facade. Am I that bad at this? Like unlovable? The question gutted me. I set my beer down, turning to him, close enough to count the freckles across his nose. Ben, no? You're everything. Funny, kind, the guy who remembers birthdays with stupid custom mugs. If he's blind to that, he's the idiot. My hand found his shoulder, squeezing, the muscle tense under my palm. He leaned into the touch, eyes closing. Thanks. You're the only one who sees me like that. Silence stretched, heavy with unsaid. Then, softer, what about you and Theo? He treating you right? Yeah, he's easy. No games. Ben's eyes opened, searching, a shadow crossing his face. Good. You deserve easy. But his hand covered mine, thumb tracing my knuckle, a gesture too intimate for friends. Heat flooded me, old patterns igniting. I pulled back gently, standing. I should finish getting ready. He nodded, but as I left, his gaze followed, waited. The date with Theo was perfect. Arcade games in Ballard, him whooping at Pac-Man wins. Our prize is a stuffed octopus he named after me. Laughter healed something frayed, but Ben's touch lingered like a bruise. The breaking point came at Lila's birthday bash, a rooftop affair in her Soto loft, string lights twinkling against the needle-sharp skyline. The crowd was eclectic, queer folks from her network, straight allies like Ben, who showed up stag after Jake's fade-out. Theo arrived with me, arm loose around my waist, introducing himself with charm. Ben hovered at the edges, nursing a seltzer, his smiles tight. Midway through, as Drake thumped and bodies swayed, Lila pulled me aside. Trouble brewing. Ben staring daggers at Theo. Jealous much? I brushed it off, but doubt seeded. Later, on the dance floor, Theo spun me into a dip, our laughter mingling. When Ben cut in, mind if I borrow him? His voice edged with beer bravado. Theo stepped back graciously, but tension crackled. Ben's hands on my hips were familiar, guiding me through an old routine from college parties, his breath warm on my neck. Miss this, he murmured, close enough for his stubble to graze my cheek. Me too. The admission slipped, raw. His grip tightened, eyes locking, hazel depths stormy. Alexei. But Lila interrupted, dragging us for cake, the moment fracturing. Later, as guests thinned, Ben cornered me by the railing, city lights sprawling below. Theo's great. But, does he know you like I do? Hurt laced his words, prejudice I hadn't expected from him. The straight best friend, gatekeeping my heart. Ben, what are you? You're pulling away. For him. After everything. His voice rose, drawing stares. I thought we were solid. That you'd always. Always what? I snapped, frustration boiling. Be your safety net? Watch you date and pretend it doesn't kill me. He recoiled, confusion etching his face. What? Alex sighed. The words died as Theo approached, concern furrowing his brow. Everything okay? Ben's jaw clenched, excuses tumbling as he bolted for the stairs. I chased, but he was gone into the night, taillights vanishing. Theo drove me home in silence, his hand on my knee a quiet anchor. Want to talk? I shook my head, throat tight. Inside, the apartment echoed empty, Ben's door shut, lights seeping under like a barrier. I texted, sorry. Let's talk tomorrow. No reply. Sleep was fitful, dreams tangled with faces, Ben's pleading eyes, Theo's steady gaze. Morning brought rain lashing the windows, and Ben emerged hollow-eyed, coffee brewing like armor. Last night, I was drunk. Stupid. No. I faced him, resolve hardening. You were honest. Finally, the air thickened. Ben, I've loved you since we were 18. Not friend love. The kind that hides and hurts. Seeing you with Jake. It broke me. So yeah, I'm pulling away. To survive. Silence crashed, his mug clattering to the sink. You. What? Shock, then dawning horror. All this time. And I. God. Alex, I never knew. I thought. You were straight. Like me. The word hung. A confession wrapped in denial. Wait, like me? I mean. But the door buzzed. Theo. Early for our planned museum run. Ben's face shuddered. Go. We'll figure this. Numb, I left, the revelation a live wire between us. Theo sensed the storm cloud over me at the Seattle Art Museum, his questions gentle as we wandered impressionist halls, Monet's lilies blurring like my thoughts. Ben, he ventured, pausing before a Rothko, vast color fields pulsing with unspoken emotion. I nodded, the dam cracking in the hushed gallery. Words poured, the decade-long crush, last night's eruption, Ben's stunned retreat. Theo listened, no judgment, his arm around me a balm. That's heavy. But you told him. That's brave. Brave or stupid. We sat on a bench, his head on my shoulder. What if it ruins us? Then it wasn't built to last. Simple, profound. His kiss later, in the sculpture garden under drizzling skies, was reassurance. Lips soft, promising tomorrows. But doubt gnawed. Ben's, like me, echoed, a riddle wrapped in pain. Back home, the apartment was a minefield. Ben was there, pacing the living room, phone in hand like a lifeline. Alex, we need to. He stopped, seeing my rumpled calm. Theo drop you? Yeah. Awkward dance to the kitchen, coffee refills a buffer. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Defensive posture I knew from his family fights. Ben's folks, conservative transplants from Ohio, had never warmed to his city face, their visits laced with Bible verses and side eyes at our closeness. Look, about last night. I freaked. Because. Shit, you're my best friend. If I messed that up. You didn't. I cut in, heart pounding. But it's out now. We can't unsay it. He ran a hand through his hair, disheveling it further. I know. And I've thought about it. Us. More than friends. The words landed soft, seismic. Not like, full on. But moments. Your laugh. The way you get my dumb jokes. When Jake bailed, it hit because I kept comparing him to you. Air thinned. Ben. Not saying I'm gay. Or bi. Hell if I know. Vulnerability cracked him open, raw. But losing you? That scares me more than labels. His hand reached, hesitant, cupping my elbow. Warmth spread, treacherous hope. Can we try? Slow. I pulled back, not from revulsion, but self-preservation. I can't be your experiment, Ben. Not after 10 years waiting. Hurt flashed in his eyes, but I held firm. I need space. To figure my own shit. He nodded, swallowing hard. Fair. But don't ghost me. Please. The plea echoed our history, binding us still. Days stretched taut. Theo and I deepened. Movie nights curled on his couch in Wallingford, his cat purring between us. Debates over takeout about art's role in activism. He was steady, his affection a garden where mine could grow without thorns. Yet Ben lingered. A text about a Mariners game. A shared playlist update. Small tugs on the thread. Lila mediated. Her loft a neutral zone for group hangs where we'd skirt the elephant. Laughter a fragile bridge. The prejudice hit unexpectedly, via Ben's mom. She called during a rare quiet afternoon, her voice syrup-sweet over the line. Alexander, dear, Benjamin mentioned your. Seeing that young man. Theo. The pause dripped judgment, honed from years of church potlucks and Fox News dinners. Yeah, Mom Hargrove. He's great. Politeness armored me. Well, as long as it's not confusing things with my boy. The implication slithered. Her baby straight, me the deviant sidekick. Families like ours, we stick to what's natural. For his sake. Rage simmered, but I kept cool. Ben's a big boy. He decides. Hanging up, I texted him the gist, no sugarcoat. His reply, sorry. She's old school. Ignore. But it festered, highlighting the chasm. His world of expectations, mine of quiet defiance. Conflict crested at our annual Friendsgiving. Lila's domain turned harvest chaos with turkey and queer carols. Theo fit seamlessly, carving skills earning cheers, while Ben arrived late, eyes shadowed from a work crunch. Tensions simmered under toasts. Lila's speech on chosen family hitting too close, Ben's gaze flicking to me like Morse code. After plates cleared, as we gathered for games, he pulled me onto the balcony, chill November air nipping. Alex, I can't do this halfway. His breath fogged, urgent. Seeing you with him. It twists me up. I want in. All the way. Heart raced. Ben, your mom's words. Screw that. I'm done hiding from myself. He stepped closer, hand to my cheek, thumb brushing my lip. The kiss was inevitable, crashing like waves, tentative, then fierce, his taste of spiced cider and home. Fireworks behind my eyes, 10 years igniting. But Theo's voice from inside shattered it. Alex? Guilt flooding cold. Ben stepped back, flushed. Shit. I fled inside. Excuses tumbling. Theo's concern a knife. The night unraveled in polite chaos, but seeds of destruction sprouted. The kiss haunted me, a ghost in every mirror, every casual brush with Theo. We kept dating. Holiday markets in Pike Place, his gloved hand in mine amid twinkling lights and gingerbread stalls. But my laughs rang hollow, distraction my constant companion. Ben respected the space. Our interactions paired to essentials. Grocery runs with stilted chat, his eyes avoiding mine like scorched earth. Yet undercurrents swirled. Lila's knowing glances, a missed call from Ben at 2 a.m. that I let ring. Prejudice reared again, subtler this time, from within. At a work holiday party, my boss, a silver-haired advet with a rainbow pin from last Pride, clapped my back after too many eggnogs. Saw you with that artist fella. Proud of you, kid, owning it. But his eyes slid to Ben, across the room charming clients. Just watch the bromance, doesn't confuse the straights. Seen it tank careers. The warning, paternal and laced with old biases, soured the mulled wine. Was this the world Ben feared stepping into? I confronted him the next day, our coffee shop haunt in Capitol Hill, steaming lattes and vinyl jazz buffer. People talk. Like, assuming you're experimenting because of me. His face darkened, spoon stirring absently. Let them. I'm not ashamed. But are you sure? Doubt crept, my voice small. This isn't some rebound from Jake. Or pity for my confession. He reached across, palm engulfing mine, warm, unwavering. No, it's real. Scary as hell, but real. His thumb traced my wrist pulse. Give me a chance to prove it. Against better judgment, I did. Secret dates bloomed in shadows. A midnight ferry to Bainbridge, stars wheeling overhead as we shared a blanket. Whispers about futures uncharted. His first tentative admission. I've checked out guys before, wondered. Unraveled layers, his bisexuality emerging like dawn. Kisses deepened, hands exploring with reverence. Emotions cresting in waves of relief and terror. I love you, he breathed one night on my couch. Theo's texts unanswered in my pocket. Always have, just didn't see it. The high crashed at New Year's. Theo's invite to his family's cabin in the Cascades. A cozy escape with snowshoeing and stews. I went, loyalty warring with guilt. The drive up 90 tense with unspoken. His parents were warm, his dad a quiet carpenter, mom a librarian with dog-eared queer lit on shelves. And for a weekend, normalcy reigned. Snowball fights, board games by firelight. But Ben's texts pierced, miss you. Countdown without you sucks. Theo caught me staring at my phone during midnight fireworks, confusion etching his face. Something with Ben? Firelight danced, honest. I confessed fragments. The kiss, the pull. Tears welled in his eyes, not anger but sorrow. I thought we were building. But if your heart split. He cupped my face, kiss farewell soft. Go. Be honest. With both of us. Back in Seattle, snowmelt turning gutters to rivers, I found Ben at our bar, stool hunched over whiskey. Theo knows. The words dropped, his head snapping up, relief warring with dread. He ended it. Gracefully. Ben slid off his stool, pulling me into a hug that crushed breath. I'm sorry. For all of it. We walked home arm in arm, street lamps haloing us, the city a conspirator in our quiet joy. But surprises lurked. Jake resurfaced, a chance encounter at the gym Ben and I hit sporadically, his ex, polished and penitent, suggesting coffee as friends. Ben agreed, transparency his new vow, but jealousy clawed me anew. Just closure, he assured, but my mind spun scenarios, old insecurities flaring. The coffee turned lunch, Jake's charm offensive, and Ben came home glowing, not with rekindled flame, but catharsis. He apologized, said he panicked because he saw how I light up around you. Validation, but it unearthed my deepest fear, that Ben's love was reactive, born of my confession, not innate. Climax brewed at Lila's Valentine soiree, hearts strung like piñatas, the loft pulsing with bass and confessions. Ben and I arrived together, hands linked defiantly, our coming out, soft-launched via group chat. Cheers erupted, hugs fierce, but undercurrents churned. Jake showed, uninvited, Lila's wide net, his eyes on Ben like unfinished business. Tension spiked during charades, teams fracturing as Jake, accidentally, landed on our side, his guesses laced with inside jokes from their past. Ben laughed too freely, my chest tightening. Later, in the kitchen, Jake cornered me, voice low, urgent. He's confused, Alex. Using you to rebel. I know him, straight at core. Don't get burned. The words poisoned, doubt flooding. I slipped out, balcony air biting, when Ben found me. Hey, you vanished. His arms encircled, but I stiffened. Jake talked. Said you're not really into this. Venom in my tone, tears hot. Ben's face fell, pulling back. And you believe him? After everything. Hurt deep into anger. God, Alex, do you think I'm faking? That this, he gestured between us, is some phase. I don't know. The shout echoed, raw. 10 years I waited, and now? It feels too easy. Like pity. He recoiled, eyes flashing. Pity? I risked my family, my job, everything, for us. If you can't trust that. Voice breaking, he stormed inside, door slamming final. Lila found me later, curled on a lounge chair. Go after him, idiot. Misunderstandings are your specialty. But pride held me, night dissolving into regret. Dawn broke, gray over the city, regret a hangover without the haze. Ben's door stayed shut when I knocked, his absence at breakfast a void. Work dragged, designs blurring on screens, colleagues chatter white noise, until Lila texted coordinates. Alki Beach, our old solace spot. There, under gulls' cries and fairy horns, Ben waited on a bench, thermos steaming, eyes red-rimmed but steady. I overreacted. I started, sitting, sand gritty under us. Jake's words. They hit old wounds. He nodded, passing the coffee, black, just right. I get it. Hell, I planted those seeds, hiding so long. Pause, waves lapping. But Alex, this isn't pity. It's terror, loving you so hard it scares me. Because losing you? That's the real end. Tears pricked, his hand finding mine. I believe you. Forgive. Always. Laughter bubbled, tentative, then free. We walked the shore, pebbles crunching confessions. His therapy sessions post-Jake, unpacking bi-erasure from his upbringing, my journal entries, pages inked with unspoken pleas. Healing in layers, prejudices confronted, not just external, but the internalized whispers doubting our worth. Surprises unfolded gently. Ben's coming out to his mom was a battlefield, her tears over speakerphone, verses quoted like shields, but his firmness cracked her armor. I love him, Mom. That's the truth. A week later, her card arrived. Halting apology, invitation to Easter dinner. Progress, fragile. Theo crossed paths at a gallery opening. His new beau a sculptor with kind eyes. No bitterness. Hugs exchanged. Glad you're happy, genuine. His forgiveness freed me. Chains of guilt dissolving. Our first real milestone. A weekend in the San Juans. Ferry slicing Puget Sound. Cabin rented with a view of Orcas breaching. No drama. Just us. Hikes through cedar groves. Stews simmered slow. Nights tangled in flannel sheets. Whispers mapping futures. Marriage. Ben mused one dawn, coffee mugged in bed. Someday. With you. The climax I'd feared morphed to quiet crescendo. Not conflict, but commitment. Back in Seattle, under cherry blossoms shedding pink confetti, Ben knelt, not with rings, but a keychain etched us. To the rest of it. 10 years down, forever to go. Laughter choked with joy, my yes a vow. Friends rallied. Lila officiating a mock ceremony in her loft. Toasts to resilience. Love's stubborn bloom. Years later, reflections in rain-streaked windows. Ben's arm around me on our balcony. Now ours alone. Jake's ghost long faded. We joke about the hook. That knife slip. The unraveling. But beneath, gratitude pulsed. For misunderstandings that clarified. Prejudices that forged strength. The surprise of love's persistence. In the end, it wasn't hiding that defined us, but the asking, why stop looking? Because sometimes, to see truly, you step into the light together.